I have wanted to update on my kind of intellectualizer tries yoga experience for a while. I've put off doing so because it has been so powerful and heavy and good and terrible and it's so much like vulnerable stuff. How I had been perceiving this was of this is about kind of pushing back against the intellectualizer part of me that disconnects from my body and from like how emotions show up in my body, like that low level dissociation of always being in your head and not in your body. And I thought that the root of that was basically like just being in a family that isn't particularly emotionally healthy, maybe especially with kids, like doesn't know how to help kids regulate their emotions. And so they kind of like shut down and invalidated emotions rather than letting them be felt and expressed. And I do think that that is certainly part of why I became an intellectualizer. But I thought that was kind of the primary trauma that I was poking at with yoga, other than I knew that wearing like athletic clothing and doing certain yoga poses would also trigger some of my CSA related traumas. I'm going to be a little bit vague here because some of it is just too vulnerable for me to want to put on the internet. But I will say that through continuing to try yoga and continuing to find it really, really activating for me and continuing to look at like, I've been trying to figure out like what exactly is activating me. Like, are there particular poses? Is it like the breathing work that is done like alongside yoga? Is it the clothing? Is it, trying to figure out like more of the details of my triggers? I was able to kind of see patterns and kind of connect some dots, and I ended up discovering that these two traumas that I thought were just kind of coincidentally being triggered by yoga, the like emotional expression and the some of my CSA, aren't just coincidentally linked here, that there is more of a direct link. That some of why it feels dangerous to me to be in my body and to express my feelings is actually the CSA trauma. It's not like limited to emotional trauma. Or yesterday I put out a TikTok that shared some information about something called traumatic coupling that maybe will kind of help you read between the lines a little bit here, especially if you're somebody who might relate to any of this. I think it's really good information to understand. And also with this like epiphany that I had a few days ago, I have repeatedly been thinking about how grateful I am that a few years ago I read this book called Come As You Are by Emily. Her last name is slipping me, but I think if you type in Come As You Are Emily, it should come up. It's a really popular book. I had really terrible sex ed in public school, was taught like abstinence only, like really shame-based, yucky stuff. Great, that book is great. It's like teaches you all kinds of things that we all should have been taught as like adolescents or whatever. But part of that specifically is something called sexual non-concordance. It's a really helpful thing for people with SA trauma or CSA trauma to understand what that is and what it does and doesn't mean. Also, I don't think that what I'm doing on here is pretending that like healing is this like beautiful, magical, wonderful thing. I mean, I do think there are absolutely beautiful, wonderful, amazing elements to it, don't get me wrong. But I don't think I'm pretending that it's unicorns and rainbows by any means. I just wanted to like point out that like I don't show the worst of the worst on here.